One Piece chapter 1145 just dropped. Let's talk about it. And this is a great week for One Piece because after a 6 month long hiatus, we finally got the anime back. And we got not one, but two anime episodes over the weekend, which we'll definitely be talking about because One Piece has always had a pacing issue, and now that we have the 6 month hiatus, we can actually watch the anime with normal pacing. And to celebrate that, the chapter actually starts off with an anime cover spread by Midori Matsuda to celebrate the anime's return. In addition to the anime cover spread, we do get a follow-up to Oni Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage. That is a mouthful. I'm never going to get used to saying that. We got a follow-up to that as well. The will of P lives on, guys. If your name starts with P in One Piece, you are immune from death because Pei, aka Page One, survived. That's all I really want to talk about with this cover story so far. Like I said in my last review, it looks like it is going to be wrapping up soon. I don't want to linger on this too long. Like I said, what I feel like is going to happen is that the former Beast Pirates are going to end up joining Yamato. They served their father. Now they're going to serve them. Simple as that. Now to actually get into the actual chapter, the chapter actually starts off with Zoro, Sanji, and one of the giants, I believe their name is Goldberg, named after the wrestler Goldberg. They actually are getting some food for everyone that's down in the underworld right now, and they're just talking about slaying a dinosaur that's super delicious. And then Zoro, who actually has the least amount of experience with dealing with Big Mom, Luffy and Sanji are familiar, and he's like, hey, what's this shield thing? Is this a devil fruit? And he's like, no, it's actually a homie because my father at one point went to go kill Big Mom, but it didn't work out, I guess. So he came back with this shield as a consolation prize. Now, wasn't really said necessarily, but most likely that shield is part of of Goldberg's father's life, if not just his father's entire lifespan left put into the shield. That's typically what Big Mom likes to do. She'll take the soul out of someone and then she'll put the soul in them. That's just how it goes. So, they also bring up oh, so it's just like Zeus. And it's oh, you guys know Zeus? And it's yeah, he's Nami's manservant right now. He's one of Big Mom's most famous homies is one of your navigator's manservants. Is yeah, it's just that's how that happens now. So Sanji, Zoro, and Goldberg are on their way back, bringing the food back for everyone to cook and eat it, where Loki's actually explaining what's happening to him with his injuries, and he's not sugarcoating it at all. He's no, a God's Knight who looked like Red Hair Shanks came down from Mary Joa asking me to join their ranks. I told them no, so they beat the absolute shit out of me. And then Luffy's Knights from the world government? Even Luffy's kind of taken aback by that because it is just something that no one's heard of, because they are a late introduction, so their very existence alone is kind of a big deal. Even Luffy has to recognize that. And then some hilarious scenarios happen where Luffy's trying to feed Loki to get him to talk and heal up so he can actually tell him more about Shanks like he promised, and he ends up just hurting him more. He's putting burning hot food fresh off the fire in his face, and he's oh, you're coughing, I'm choking on the food, let me give you something fresh to drink. And he's giving him piping hot tea or whatever it is, and he's yo, get this guy away from me, he's making things worse. And the other giants are kind of good job, Luffy, you're good for hurting him, we enjoy this. And then they have a funny line where they're yo, what did he do to make the giants that mad? Because these guys are super chill, so if they hate him this much, what the heck did this guy do? But basically, getting actually back into the narrative of it, Luffy's okay, so, are you going to tell me about Shanks like you promised? And Loki's well, I promised you that if you was going to get the cuffs off me, and you didn't do that, so I'm not going to tell you. And he's wait, you really want to know where Shanks is that badly? But he's okay, you know what? I get that. I remember what it was like when I was a kid, and I looked up to a great pirate that I met, and he says, the classic line everyone said at least once in their life. He's I was born in the wrong generation. And then we cut back to it, and we actually get a mini flashback. We're not there at the full flashback. We're getting a mini flashback right now. And this is where we learned that the pirate that Loki looked up to was Rox D. Zebek. Now, how do we know it was Zebek? Well, other than the fact that, super obvious, the hair silhouette is kind of the same, and he was actually talking to Whitebeard, who we can see Whitebeard's mustache, his white beard silhouette in the frame as well, and he's like, "Shut up, Newgate," because he was Whitebeard's captain at that point. So yeah, Loki looked up to Rox D. Zebek, and that's kind of where we cut off from there. We move on to another area at that point. And then that's when the flashback ends, and that's when Loki's like, I was born in the wrong generation. I wish I was a 90s baby, basically, right? But after that, we cut away to, other parts of Elbaf where the giants are still fighting all the Draugr, and they're fighting the Loki nightmare, and Skopper Gaban's getting in on the action. And there's actually a really cool scene where he's like, oh, I sensed 3 voices, so there's still more people out there, showing that Skopper Gaban has, like, amazing observation hockey, just like Sanji has amazing observation hockey. So most likely, a future power-up Sanji most likely is going to get is, like, Future Sight, maybe, because he's, like, really good at observation hockey. So he'll be able to, like, sense everything going on in, like, an island. And we're probably going to have a moment where he's like, oh, I sensed a woman, like, crying or in danger in the future. Because, classic Sanji, best written character in One Piece, by the way. But besides that, we actually cut back to where the fire's going on, and they're just kind of just panicking right now. They're like, firefighters, do something, the children are about to burn to death and we can't stop it. And it's kind of like, well, Robin's right there. A lot of people are like, hey, why don't you just, like, swat the kids away? Keep in mind, these are giant kids, so it's not like, she, like, goes Giganta Escamano on them and just swats them away. Like, yeah, it's gonna hurt, but the physical damage, like, won't really last for Robin. It's not like her physical body's gonna get hurt. Like, she'll feel the pain, but she won't have holes in her arm. So it's kind of like, Robin, you've been through worse before. Save these kids from burning to death, like, do something about this. I love you, but use your powers, don't just stand there. And that's when we cut to Jinbei, who's using his Iponze attack, his Ocean Current shoulder throw attack, the exact same attack that he used to get Luffy over the wall during Marineford and land right in front of the 3 admirals. He's using the Sea Cloud version of that, but remember, everything is giant in Elbaf, so he's using that on a grander scale, so it's like this giant Ocean Current over the giant tree, over the giant fire, just washing everything away. Crazy thing is, he doesn't really get the credit from it by the giants. They're like, oh, great job, firefighters. And they're like, that wasn't really us, but the kids didn't burn to death, so great job, great job, great job. And then after the kids are saved, we actually get a comment from Colin where he's saying, oh, it's good that the kids are still safe because, I didn't want anything bad to happen to them, like them burning to death. We didn't get along that well, but I still hope I can be friends with them at least one day. And the Straw Hats comment on that, and they're like, oh, good for you, Colin. That's a great mindset to have. They're definitely setting some stuff up in the future where Colin's a kid with a good heart who has, like, a heart for adventure. And I can see a moment where maybe they might twist this. Maybe Luffy won't be the pirate he looks up to. Maybe it'll be Usopp. And Usopp will be Colin's Shanks. Ooh, chills. But that aside, the Straw Hats are congratulating him, and that's when we get the final panel of the chapter where Miss Legs for Days herself shows up on the ship, and she's like, oh, so these are the guys that are causing havoc and ruining our day and, not letting kids burn to death. And we kind of cut there. Tension is building. First time the Straw Hats are coming face to face with the God's Knights. Granted, they've already faced off against the Gorosei, so we'll have to see how this goes. But Gunko is a threat. So, like I said, we'll have to see how this goes. But there is a break next week, so I won't be seeing you guys next week, but you can expect more videos from me going forward. So thank you guys for watching the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks. I hate break weeks. I hate them. I hate break weeks.